Hello everyone, welcome to the class of Econometrics. This is our second lecture. I'm Utkarsh Dubey, our today's instructor, and today we will be learning the regression. The word regression is basically comes in a picture through the Galton's universal law of regression. And if you talk about the specific word regression, then actually the word it's consists of a rigor word, right? And whenever we talk about the word rigor, then word rigor reflects the moving towards the average, right? So, firstly, if we'll go to the historical background of the regression analysis, then it was presented by Francis Galton when they were studying the heights of sons of tall parents and shorter parents. Then they have founded that taller parents do not have as tall sons or a daughter on an average as their parents are. Similarly, with the shorter parents, his sons or daughters also do not have on an average as short as his parents. So they found that there is a tendency, and that tendency is to moving towards average. And based on this research of Francis Galton, they have suggested his very famous theory of universal law of regression. And after that, after some time, his friend Carl Pearson empirically validated this theory based on the actual economic phenomena. And as we do know, theoretical validation is just a statement, but if you are verifying that empirically, then that's very important things. And most importantly, when we are studying the econometrics, because as we know, prime goal of econometrics is to validate theories empirically. So Carl Pearson, that really excellent job. Now, if we just talk about the modern interpretation of regression, then in our modern interpretation, here we just do study the dependence of a one variable based on other independent variables. For example, if we are saying demand is going high or low based on the prices of the goods, right? So here prices of goods are the independent variable which is affecting our demand of our goods, right? There can be multiple independent factor which can affect the demand of any particular, any specific goods or services. So we can say the variables who are affecting are dependent variable. Those are the independent variables, and this one is dependent. In this case, as we said, the demand is dependent variable, and dependent is the price, and maybe the other things like a taste, the season, the other policy factors as well. We can also understand this concept through other examples as well, like consumption can be affected by the income. We can say crop yield can be affected by the rainfall. So these are the examples, and through these examples we can understand the concept of a dependent and the independent variable, right? So if you talk before we continue our discussion further, I think it's important to understand the statistical and the deterministic relationship. In our previous lecture, as we discussed the job of a mathematical economist to make the model of any economic theory. So actually, whatever model mathematical economist makes, mostly those are the deterministic in the nature. Because whenever we are saying deterministic, that's simply mean whatever we are predicting, that's 100% right, right? But whenever we focus on the behavioral subjects like economics, where we mostly observe the things and multiple factors are affecting our that particular research, then it's important to understand that we cannot determine the result of our model based on just a 2 or a 4 or any small statistic variable. This can be possible in the experimental research, which mostly done in the pure sciences. But whenever we talk about the sciences like economics, like sociology, and other social discipline of knowledge, then it's important to understand there are lots of multiple factors which even we do not know. So that's why while understanding or estimating our model, we just do add the stochastic or error terms in our deterministic model, like u we add, or e sometimes we do add, or epsilon we do add as a symbol, and we make our model which can be empirically verified and can give the better insight, because we just take 3 to 4 independent variables which is mainly affecting are dependent variable, and others which are not significant at all, or not very much significant, and or let's say they are make if will add all those terms, then our model would be so much complex. So for removing those complexity, we just do add the stochastic term. So it was about the statistical and deterministic relationship between two variables we have understood. So now if we talk about the regression and causalization or causation, then as we know, in the regression analysis, we saw the dependence of one variable on others. It does not imply the causalization, because causation represents the cause and effect. For example, if there is a rainfall, then good rainfall, then there is a higher chances to getting a good crop yield. But we cannot say if there is a good crop yield, then it would increase the rainfall, right? So these are the things which is a bit different from the regression, and causation is one of the most important thing in the econometrics. And yes, so let's move further. And yes, so what another important concept, that's the correlation. And we know the correlation mainly reflects the direction and the strength between two variables. It's like simply it's reflecting like relationship between two variables. It reflects direction and the strength. For example, as we know, it varies between 0 to 1. There also can be added sign like minus as well, and that minus or a plus represents the direction of the relationship. For example, if it's plus, we would say there is a positive relationship. First variable is increasing, another is also increasing. If it's a negative, we would say first one is increasing, the second one is decreasing. So that was all about the correlation. And in regression, the dependent variable is considered stochastic, while explanatory variable are fixed. But in correlation, both variables are treated symmetrically and random, right? So now we will talk about the some other terminology and notation. There are other names of a dependent variable, like predictant, regressant, or response. Similarly, the independent variable or explanatory variables also do have some other names like predictor, regressor, or stimulus. Right? Let's move ahead. Right. So there is a types of regression like simple regression, multiple regression, and in a simple regression, we involve like one dependent variable and one explanatory variable. But in a multiple regression model, we often involve the more than one explanatory variables, and sometimes even we also do have in very advanced stages there can be a more than one dependent variable too, right? So now there are some more things which we should understand before going ahead. The types of the data, right? So there are mainly three types of data, which also can be said in a four type. Like first one is the time series data, which collected over the period of a time, like census of our country, right? 2001, 2011, 21. Like it goes on and on and on, right? So this is called the time series data. And it was just not like that, actually. Not good example. We can understand it like any stock price. So there, each and every movement is being tracked throughout the time. So we can say, as from the morning to evening, it was the time series data of that particular stock on that particular day. But when we talk about the cross-sectional data, then we talk about stock concept. Like we are talking about this pin at this pinpoint, what was the situation and actual scenario going on in the economy. So that is the cross-sectional data. And when we do merge the cross-sectional and the time series data, then combined strength of this makes the pooled data. And there is a panel data as well, which is part of the pooled data. So in this panel data, we just collect the data from the same person or same unit. Like for example, if we have getted opinion from 1,000 people about something, then we will again go to that person after a period of time and ask to the same person about that particular thing. So it is also one of the most trending one, the panel data, which in our another course we would discuss in a deep. But here we would mostly focus on the cross-sectional data and time series data, right? Let's move ahead. There are some exercises, and thank you so much. Okay, bye. Thank you. Yeah, write comments in a below.